Okay, this episode is about Fenton Lake State Park in New Mexico. That's about 20 miles from Jemez Springs. They pronounce it Jemez, but it's spelled Jemez. Jemez Springs, the Jemez River, or I should say Jemez River. Out here, it's way out in the middle of nowhere. Like I say, it's about 20 miles from Jemez Springs, and if you head west it's right off of 126, Fenton Lake State Park. If you head west to Cuba, you got to go down a dirt road for about 25 miles. So I wouldn't recommend coming in from that direction, especially after it rains. I hear the road gets huge puddles and such. But this is not only very remote, it's a beautiful place. I mean, I like it a lot. It's one of my favorites. The Fenton Lake itself is a great trout fishing lake. They stock it with rainbows, and as a matter of fact, this is August in 2019. And just a few days ago, they stocked 900 pounds of rainbow. So there's really good fishing, and all the locals fish it. Yeah, I went down the other night, and I had 4 hits, and I did catch one rainbow using a silver color spinner. Almost everybody uses bait. Worms, and one of the locals, he told me he drags out with the net the crayfish, little crayfish, and he uses crayfish. So anyway, here's my site. There's 30 sites in the campground. The first loop you come to is all electric and water. There's maybe only 6 sites in there, I think, and the other 25 sites or so there's no water or electric. They do have water here, but so have your solar panels or whatever if you're going to be here for a while. I have mine set up on the ground, and I also have 600 watts up on top, so I can produce about 900 watts with my system, so which is plenty. But this site's very shaded, so I'm not getting many amps out of my solar panels. And as far as the rest of the features of the park, there is no dump station. There's no shower here. You just have pit toilets and 1 or 2 places where you can get fresh water, spring water. And that's about it. With the state park pass, which I have again this year, it's free. My site. There's my American Eagle, which I got in Mexico recently. And I have one of those collapsible water jugs set up right now on the tree. And I just hang it from a lantern hanger. These are real handy to have when you have no place to hang your lantern, or you can set up one of these. And you got on this type, you got a place where you can put a bungee in right here, and on the other side, and then you have your spigot here. These are real nice, especially if you're going backpacking. You empty them before you leave, and then if you're going for a few days, you find the nearest creek and fill it up, and this way you don't have to keep going back and forth to the creek. And then you just put in chlorine tablets or have a water filter system. And well, my site is right on the creek, a little creek here, about 6 to 10 feet wide. And I have been seeing, it looks like brown trout down in here. Real small ones. They got kind of landlocked in all these logs and everything in here. And what was really interesting, he was sitting right, like it was about 5 or 6 inch brown trout. Anything bigger, I don't think would get up through here. If you go upstream, about 1.5 miles is the Fenton Lake itself. It's a pretty good sized lake, and that's where everyone fishes for the rainbows. And but anyway, the other night I was sitting in my chair, and right next to the log there was a little 5, 6 inch brown trout, and he'd wait for the bugs to land on the log. Their eyesight is unbelievable. When a bug would come off to the side of that log, he would jump out of the water up onto the log, grab the bug or the fly or whatever, and go right back down again. And he was doing that like every 3 or 4 minutes. So I think he's going to get pretty big real quick. So this is kind of like my hangout. Very calming, the sound of the water, and have my chair set up here. If you're into fishing, I just bought this book just on the Jemez Mountains of New Mexico, and this was put out I think in 2018 by Alan Bray. It's not cheap. It was $26 soft cover, but he really shows you where all the hot spots are for fishing for rainbow and brown trout and everything else. He shows a lot of maps. I don't know if you can see these. Very detailed maps, and he gives you exact directions to all these different fishing spots. You see over here is Santa Fe. You're heading west, you get to Bandelier National Monument, the Valles Caldera National Preserve, and then heading west further, you get into Fenton Lake. So I don't know if I'm on the right spot here. Oh, there it is. Okay, yeah, and there's Fenton Lake off of 126. Now, if you head from Fenton Lake to Cuba on 126, that's 25 miles of dirt roads. I wouldn't recommend it. You know, there's 550 is the main highway, and Route 4. I came up Route 4 through Jemez Springs, and then you'll see a sign for 126 in the state park, and that's where you make your turn. It goes, I don't know, 8 or 10 miles to the lake. So anyway, I recommend his book. And they give out for free your fishing guides here in New Mexico. All your rules, regulations. This is the latest one. So that's this episode. Oh, the other thing is, if Jemez Springs and the local towns, which is about a 20-mile drive to get like gas, nearest gas station, they don't sell any fresh meats or vegetables. No fresh chicken, no fresh hamburger meat, so you better stock up if you're coming way out here. It's really out in the middle of nowhere. And I had to literally drive to Rio Rancho to get fresh chicken for a barbecue, and round trip that was 125 miles. Excuse me. So make sure you stock up if you're coming out here. Looking at my notes just to see if I missed anything that I wanted to talk about. Oh yeah, there's a lot of signs here, more than I've seen in any state park. Black bear and warning signs, black bear and mountain lion. This whole park is in a little valley. I think it's around 7,600 feet in elevation. And there's, you know, a lot of mountain lion out here. You're so far out in the middle of nowhere, and black bear at times of the year, certain times of the year. Also, there's no cell service, no internet out here. I did find a spot about 5.4 miles from the lake here, up on the top of the mountain. which is, I believe, over 10,000 feet. It's the Jemez Mountains, basically, or Jemez, if you want to pronounce it properly, which is part of the Rocky Mountains, believe it or not. They come down from Colorado. Okay, that's my episode of Fenton Lake State Park. Hope you liked this episode. And this is Eagle Eric signing off.